Poddington Bear Blue. Here on Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. As we turn now to the sexual abuse scandal rocking the Catholic Church in both Europe and the United States that's enveloping Pope Benedict XVI. As questions emerge over the Pope's role in covering up clerical abuse, protesters in London called for his resignation. The National Catholic Reporter says the Pope must be ready to answer questions and called the scandal, quote, the largest institutional crisis in centuries, possibly in church history. The 82-year-old Pope opened Holy Week at his Palm Sunday service in the Vatican without any direct mention of the scandal, but he did suggest he would not be, quote, intimidated by the petty gossip of dominant opinion.
Man can choose an easy road, pushing aside all efforts. He can even fall to the lowest, vulgar levels and sink into a swamp of sin and dishonesty. Jesus walks ahead of us and on a high path. He encourages us towards that is pure and great, towards a life of truth. Towards the courage of not allowing oneself to be intimidated by the petty gossip of dominant opinion. Towards the patience of supporting others.
The Vatican has denied a series of media reports alleging that Pope Benedict, before being elected pontiff, may have looked the other way in cases of abuse in his native Germany and in the United States. Last week, the Vatican strongly defended its decision not to defrock the Wisconsin-based priest, Father Lawrence Murphy, who abused some 200 deaf boys starting in the 1950s. Internal documents show Vatican officials, including Cardinal Joseph Ratzinger, then the Church's top doctrinal official, now Pope Benedict, knew of the allegations but didn't act. On Thursday, Gigi Budzinski said her father was one of the deaf boys who was molested by Father Murphy.
He hopes they do something. I believe somebody should be punished for this. His innocence was stolen from him. His childhood he was very depressed. He was not happy. He couldn't enjoy his childhood. Everything was stolen from him, and now he's 61 years old and he's still fighting for this.
Well, for more on the story, I'm joined now from Tampa, Florida, by Bridget Mary Meehan. She's a former Catholic nun who's now a spokesperson for Roman Catholic Womenpriests. In 2006, Meehan was ordained as a priest by 3 female bishops. She's now a bishop though her ordination is not recognized by the Vatican. In a recent article, she calls for accountability within the Church and the creation of an independent truth commission. Welcome to Democracy Now!, Bridget Mary Meehan. How massive is this crisis right now?
It's very wonderful to be with you.
How serious is this crisis right now for the Church?
This is very, very serious because standards of accountability must apply from the top down. There needs to be an entire shakeup of the whole Catholic system, and we need to begin by truth-telling. Roman Catholic women priests are calling for a truth commission made up of the non-ordained, the victims, and people of integrity to examine the crisis in its implications for church structure, for renewal, for reform. And we believe that any structural change must include the end of mandatory celibacy, married priest, and women priest. We must really change the way the Church does business and become a more accountable, open, transparent, and just Church.
Can you lay out for us the scope of what is understood right now, what has happened in Germany, in Ireland, in Europe, and in the United States?
The main thing that has happened is a betrayal of Catholics. Catholics have had faith in their leaders, that they were people of integrity. And what has happened is they have discovered that there have been case after case of sexual abuse of children and vulnerable youth that has been covered up. And the cover-up, unfortunately, goes all the way to the top. It goes to the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, of which Pope Benedict, when he was Cardinal Ratzinger, headed. And the Lawrence Murphy case in Wisconsin showed that the Vatican actually ignored the bishops of Wisconsin who asked for defrocking of Father Murphy, who allegations said abused up to 200 children. And Father Murphy went to Cardinal Ratzinger, wrote a letter to him appealing this proposed trial that would defrock him. And obviously he was allowed to continue his ministry for the next, I believe, 24 years of being with vulnerable children and continuing the abuse. So what is happening is that the institutional church, in case after case, has ignored often the cries of the victims for justice. They have sided with protecting the institution from scandal and have conducted these secretive trials beginning in 2001 in the Vatican, these canonical trials, which the Vatican officials actually said they covered 2,000 or 3,000 cases, and 20% of those 3,000 cases they actually dealt with. And a very small percentage of those priests, 10%, I believe, according to their statistics, were even defrocked. So it was a very small number of priests that have been punished. And one of the other main things is the church has not really clearly said that the bishops should turn over these cases to the law enforcement to investigate. They said, well, we never prevented you from doing that. But their guidelines did not tell the bishops, this is number one, turn over these cases to civil investigation. And that should have happened, because justice for the victims should have been the top priority, because it's the right thing to do, because it's the moral thing to do, and it's because I believe it's what Jesus has called us to do, to be open, honest, fair, and just, both to the victim and to the accused.
You know, it's quite remarkable. If a priest is discovered to be gay, he will be defrocked immediately, excommunicated. But if he is an abuser of children, you see this record over and over of protecting them. I'm looking at your blog, Bridget Mary Meehan. You said in the United States, the sex abuse scandal has destroyed the lives of victims and their families, bankrupted some dioceses, and cost the church over $2 billion. Approximately 2/3 of sitting U.S. bishops were alleged in 2002 to have kept accused priests in the ministry or moved them to new assignments. 19 bishops in the United States have been accused of sexual abuse. Why has what you've proposed, what you laid out at the top of this discussion, do you think this will start to deal with this issue? For example, the ordaining of women priests.
Well, we already now have women priests. We have Roman Catholic women priests. In the United States, there are 70 of us in this community, and the community is growing all the time. We are setting out a renewed priestly ministry in which women are part of the community. It's a circular model, a discipleship of equals, an accountable, collaborative model where we see ourselves united with the people at the heart of the community and accountable to the people we serve. It's not a hierarchical, secretive system. And bishops, and I'm one of the bishops in the southern region that serve our communities in that area of the country, our main job is to prepare qualified candidates and to communicate a renewed vision of priestly ministry that is in union with the people we serve. We do not focus on titles or any of the we don't have any of this power, and we're not administrators. Our leadership circle is made up of others, and bishops will never be on or elected to the leadership circle of our